Would you not do everything in your power to rise above your circumstances and claim for yourself the very privileges and entitlements that society bestows upon the elite? Barry Lyndon is a 1975 historical drama directed by the great Stanley Kubrick. It marked a fascinating departure for a man widely regarded at the time as something of a futurologist, thanks to films such as Dr. Strangelove, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and A Clockwork Orange. Believed to be blessed with the gift of knowing what lay ahead, Kubrick made the surprising choice to go instead into the past. The film is based on William Makepeace Thackeray's 1844 novel, The Luck of Barry Lyndon. If the name Thackeray sounds familiar, it's because he is also the author of the highly acclaimed satire, Vanity Fair. The story follows the journey of Barry Redmond, a young Irishman of humble origins, who strives to claw his way out from obscurity and acquire for himself the title and status that he believes himself entitled to. Considered Kubrick's neglected masterpiece, the film was met with indifference upon release. However, over the years it has steadily grown in stature, with some now proclaiming it to be the director's greatest work. The film presents an uncompromising 3-hour exploration of 18th century European society, a time when ideas such as nobility of birth and gentlemanly status were regarded as sacrosanct. As we follow Barry on his picaresque exploits to become the gentleman he imagines himself to be, we begin to see past the elegant facade of the past and find a film that is in every way unmistakably Kubrick. Technically brilliant, emotionally detached, and unsparing in its doubt of human goodness. Fatalism permeates the film from start to finish. Barry's story is not one of triumph through hard work and determination, but of a man who is propelled by mere circumstance. His actions, rather than arising from any sort of conscious agency, are instead dictated by the larger world he inhabits. He's a peculiar character, and with rare exceptions he seems mostly detached from his own fate. He's not a man who takes charge of his own destiny, but rather one to whom things just happen. This pervasive sense of inevitability is further reinforced by Kubrick's meticulous formalism. Much of the film's action unfolds off-screen, while the narrator, voiced by Michael Hordern, strips away suspense by revealing events before they occur. In fact, we're explicitly told long before the film concludes that our hero is doomed, robbing us of the vicarious thrill of experiencing the character's own anticipation. The narrative is structured in an episodic format, divided into a Part 1 and Part 2. This framing makes it clear that our focus is not meant to dwell on the suspense of what might happen, but rather on the larger forces at play that shape Barry's rise and eventual fall. At the heart of the film lies the enlightened ritual of dueling, a form of civilized violence that was used to resolve disputes between gentlemen. Though brutal in nature, it was regulated by a strict code of conduct and was considered by many in the 18th century as an honorable method of defending one's reputation. Duels were not fought to kill an opponent, but rather to gain satisfaction. Hence why challenges to duels were often accompanied by the phrase, "I demand satisfaction." However, many people did meet their end dueling, as Barry's father does at the start of the film. This unfortunate event sets Barry on his course, and as the story unfolds, we see how dueling continues to shape his fate. His very first duel, fought over the love of his cousin Nora, forces him to flee Ireland, while his final confrontation with his stepson Lord Bullingdon sends him tumbling back down to insignificance. These critical moments underscore the film's central theme of predetermined fate, with duels serving as the ultimate game of chance, where triumph and tragedy or life and death are decided by the whims of fortune. Speaking of fortune, our attention is also drawn to the scenes in which Barry gambles. In an early card game against his cousin Nora, he is still a naive young boy, playing honestly and inevitably losing. But as his ambition grows, he resorts to cheating and trickery to tip the scales in his favor. In these fleeting moments of assertiveness, Barry defies his usual passivity, taking control of his fate, albeit through deception. For the most part, however, Barry's attempts to change his fate almost always end in misfortune. His decision to desert the British Army leads to his capture and impressment into the Prussian army. His extravagant spending in pursuit of a title leaves him financially ruined. And finally, his act of mercy towards his vengeful stepson during their duel costs him his leg and results in his ultimate humiliation. In the end, all of Barry's efforts are proven futile, leaving us with a deeper appreciation for the rigid laws that govern his world. His luck, which had taken him so far, eventually ran out. Barry Lyndon is often described as one of the most beautiful films ever made. Because of Kubrick's insistence upon authenticity, the film was recorded with modified Zeiss lenses originally designed for use by NASA. These lenses made it possible to shoot scenes using mostly natural sources of light, helping to capture the look of an age before electricity. The subtle glow of candlelight and the interplay of light and shadow transform even the most mundane interactions into elegant tableaux. The film unfolds as a series of timeless images, resembling a living painting, not a surprise considering how inspired Kubrick was by the works of such painters as William Hogarth, Thomas Gainsborough, and Jean-Antoine Watteau. Kubrick's infamous attention to detail extended far beyond just lighting. The costumes were handmade using materials and techniques from the period, sourced and crafted with painstaking care to ensure they accurately represented the style of the 18th century. The music also deserves mention, particularly Handel's Sarabande, which serves as the film's recurring motif. Its slow, deliberate rhythm evokes a haunting sense of inevitability, as though our hero is marching steadily towards his tragic fate. The score, curated by Leonard Rosenman, features Schubert's piano trio in E-flat, a piece whose delicate melody captures both beauty and melancholy. Its second movement, often called a funeral march, helps to heighten tension in key moments, perfectly balancing the fragility of hope against the weight of despair. It's no small wonder that the film won 4 Academy Awards for cinematography, art direction, costume design, and musical score. Whatever your thoughts on Barry Lyndon may be, there can be no denying the film is a work of art. Barry Lyndon is a film all about restraint, which is fitting given its setting. 18th century Europe was a place of rigid decorum, where outward appearances and social formalities were often used to mask one's true feelings or intentions. There is not as much dialogue as you might expect from a historical epic. Instead, we are made to linger in these deliberately slow moments of silence that are charged with meaning. We absorb the subtleties of the characters' relationships, thoughts, and emotions without a single word having been uttered. Through this silence, we are allowed to fully take in the significance of each and every interaction, seeing it in the context of the greater world of Barry Lyndon. These quiet moments are not only mesmerizing, but also serve to make the eventual outbursts of suppressed emotion all the more impactful. Consider the scene where Barry first meets Lady Lyndon. There's just so much depth hinted at with each gesture. The way she struggles to hide her discomfort as the realization sets in that she's falling in love, or how she instinctively chooses to distance herself in order to eventually come closer. It's a candlelit masterclass in the outer glances. And words are not always necessary to convey meaning, especially in pre-revolutionary Europe, where so much can be immediately understood just from the way you looked. Appearances and choice of clothing mattered a great deal. Take Lady Lyndon, for instance, the aristocratic widow that Barry succeeds in marrying. Her identity is perfectly projected through how she dresses, to the point that she doesn't need to say or do anything. Finally, restraint in emotions is second nature in aristocratic high society. You are expected to uphold decorum and behave with unwavering dignity. Such an emphasis on self-control and emotional detachment helps to underscore Barry's struggle to live in a world bound by strict rules and expectations. He's an outsider to this world, seeking to exploit it while simultaneously becoming a part of it. He may have succeeded at playing the role of a nobleman for a while, but when his anger gets the better of him in a room full of guests, the other gentlemen present jump to intervene, surrounding and subduing him to restore order. Ultimately, restraint is not just a stylistic choice, but a defining theme of the film, one that permeates its characters, its structure, and even its visual language. From the measured performances to the painterly compositions, every frame reflects a world where emotion is subdued, decorum is enforced, and passion, when it does erupt, only accelerates one's downfall. Barry Lyndon is a profound meditation on the fleeting nature of human ambition, showing us just how easily triumph can turn into tragedy and how love can fade into loss. Humiliated and banished from the place he so desperately wished to belong to, our wretched hero is caught in a sudden freeze frame, one-legged and off balance, as he steps into a carriage that will take him and his mother back to Ireland. It's a jarring image that clashes with the film's otherwise composed visual language. The brilliantly executed recreation of 18th century art, architecture, and societal structures serves not to immerse us in a world that feels vibrant and alive, but rather to remind us that we are merely observing history. Everything that we see has already happened long ago. The film's closing title reinforces this sentiment. It was during the reign of George III that the aforesaid personages lived and quarreled. Good or bad, handsome or ugly, rich or poor, they are all equal now. This one line takes away much of the grandeur that we've attached to Barry's journey, reducing all of his struggles, triumphs, and tragedies to mere footnotes in the pages of history.